So, we have the first Assassin's Creed Valhalla gameplay footage, guys, which means it's time to get excited because it's awesome, and in this video we are going to talk about it. Although it is a leak footage only and the quality is rather low, I have to tell you that I am really impressed, and that I also watched it for like 20 times now, I believe. So hello and welcome back, friends. Vlad here with a new Assassin's Creed Valhalla gameplay trailer breakdown, or to be fair, we should call it the first leaked Assassin's Creed Valhalla gameplay trailer breakdown. Before we begin our analysis, I have to outline several facts. First, in this video we are going to use screenshots instead of the actual gameplay footage because, as you know, Ubisoft was quite quick in removing them from YouTube. Hence, I am not allowed to use the actual gameplay. Fear not though, because I'll try to upload it on my website and you should be able to watch it there in a couple of hours. The link is in the description and hopefully it will not be removed. Second, the quality of the Assassin's Creed Valhalla leaked gameplay footage is rather low, but even so there is a lot of info we can retrieve from it, and I am really excited because this info confirms a lot of details from my previous videos. If you missed them, now it's a good time to watch them, and the links are also in the description. Third, in this video we will only scratch the surface a bit, but throughout the upcoming weeks and months, actually, I will upload new videos where we can discuss everything related to Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Finally, a warm welcome to all new subscribers and Assassin's Creed fans who have joined my channel, and a huge thank you for my existing subscribers for their support. Okay then, so let's begin with the details I have managed to spot in the first 30 minutes of Assassin's Creed Valhalla gameplay trailer. So, the Assassin's Creed Valhalla leaked gameplay is focused on an early quest named A Fury from the Sea. It was recorded while playing as a female Eivor, and it takes place in East Anglia. We can see the actual quest name in the upper left corner and the first objective, which states that the player must reach the forward base. In the upper right corner we can notice that we are early in the game since the character is level 4 and the starting location is Eivor's settlement. Now, in my previous video about the Assassin's Creed Valhalla settlement, we have discussed why the East Anglia will most likely be the area where Eivor will set camp, and well, I was right about it. Now, as Eivor moves outside the settlement, we can spot a building made of bricks, indicating that our Vikings actually conquered this settlement or village. We can also see this white line on the ground, showing that a feature from the previous game is returning, allowing us to enjoy the view while our horse will automatically take us to specific spots. You may remember it from Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and it will also be available in Watch Dogs Legion. In the lower left corner we can see our horse's stamina below Eivor's health bar. Another thing I managed to notice here is that just like in the previous games, our horse will not be able to sprint inside villages, but the moment we exit the settlement this feature becomes available, as you can see in this image. Now, as Eivor exits the settlement, she encounters a pack of wolves. In this screenshot we can spot the ranged attacks in the lower left corner and the melee attacks in the lower right corner. During the fight our player uses only axes, and so far my favorite attack is the axe throwing one. We will discuss about it later. After defeating one of the wolves, Eivor gathers the first confirmed Assassin's Creed Valhalla crafting material, which is the ladder, as you can see here. Next, we can see our player activating Odin's Sight, which is quite amazing because, as you can notice in this picture, it shows the weak points of the remaining wolves. You can also see that these points are now marked in red. A finishing move is also executed on the last wolf in the pack, and I have to say that it looks pretty badass. Immediately after defeating the pack of wolves, the player sends Sven in to scout the area, only for a second, and we can actually hear Eivor's quote, "Odin, be my eyes." While Swenin is in the air, we can spot this square in the lower right corner. From it we can learn the name of the area where the action takes place, but we can also see 3 tabs. The first one is the wealth tab, we will talk later. The second one shows a number of mysteries which most likely act as collectibles. The third one also shows a new type of collectibles known as secrets. This square also indicates that our character's power when entering East Anglia should be 55. After dealing with the wolves, the player mounts his horse and continues his journey to the forward camp, also activating the cinematic camera several times. Upon reaching the forward camp, we can see Eivor talking to the first quest giver named Finr. During the dialogue, we can get a closer look at our Eivor female character who, well, it is not the prettiest woman in the world. And we can also learn that to complete the quest we need to finish an assault. Notice that the player has two options. He can postpone the assault on Burgh Castle or start it right away. Next, we can see a map showing Burgh Castle and we find out that the assault will take place during the night. Just before leaving the area, Finr asks Eivor to encourage the troops and we have three choices as you can see, although it is unclear how these choices actually affect the morale of the troops. Before setting out, we can see a beautiful image from above the forward base, followed by our troops who are getting ready to assault Burgh Castle. As Eivor sails towards Burgh Castle, we can hear her reciting a Norse poem and we can also spot our Viking fleet. The moment Eivor gets close to the castle, things get really intense because the Saxons spot her fleet. However, what we can learn from the next sequence is that the Assassin's Creed Valhalla naval combat has been altered, meaning that the option to attack, as far as we can see from this Assassin's Creed Valhalla gameplay footage, doesn't exist while on a ship. We can only use brace to lower the incoming damage and we can only steer our boat to avoid incoming arrows. Eventually, Eivor reaches the land and the objective, as you can see, changes. To successfully complete the assault, the player has to break some gates and also complete a boss fight. From the next screenshot, we can learn even more about Eivor's health and how it will work in Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Notice the small heart-shaped icon in the lower left corner. The number inside shows the number of rations our player currently has in the inventory. Think about them as health potions we will be able to use in combat. The interesting fact is that we can gather other supplies while exploring the world in order to refill these rations, such as the winter chanterelle here. In front of the first gate, our player focuses on taking out a lot of enemies. We can see him using the kick attack to send enemies away from him, and one thing that I am really excited about is the option to pick weapons from the ground and throw them at enemies. The main goal, however, is to break the gate using the ram. And in the next screenshot, we can see how the Assassin's Creed Valhalla battle rams work. Basically, we can do two things which are very similar to those from the naval combat. We can brace when archers fire their arrows at us, and we can charge the gate by pressing the corresponding button. Obviously, by keeping the charge button pulled longer means that our charge will be more powerful. After breaking the first gate, we can see the player taking the ram to a more powerful gate, where, well, things get more interesting because there are a lot of archers who are firing burning arrows inflicting quite some damage. While fighting the soldiers, we can see Eivor evading attacks, which is nice, stomping down enemies, which so far in my opinion is the most powerful attack, and throwing generic weapons dropped by dead soldiers. Oh yeah, and we can see Eivor on fire after taking an arrow not in the knee, but in the face. Okay, dealing with the archers on the walls seems to be quite important when trying to ram down a gate. Luckily for us, we have these oil jars to help us dealing with most of them. As the footage continues, we can see Eivor dispatching a lot of Anglo-Saxons in the same manner. At some point we can spot the in-game currency here. We can also see that there are multiple ways to deal with the enemies above the gates. Instead of shooting arrows at them, there is always the option to go around and climb the walls in order to get closer. Then with a simple swing of the axe we can set them on fire by destroying the jars of oil nearby. An interesting aspect that I managed to spot is that we don't have to actually destroy a gate by ramming it, meaning that according to the gameplay footage we can enter the area behind the gate, and after dealing with all enemies in that area our Vikings will be able to automatically open the said gate. Now, after dealing with the second gate, the Assassin's Creed Valhalla leaked footage shows a cutscene introducing Vlad, or our final enemy in this mission. Unfortunately, the player skipped it, but I managed to understand that Eivor is looking for Oswald, who was captured by Vlad, who is a Dane. After the set cutscene, the player must deal with a lot of enemies, and even though he maintains the same playstyle, we can see him performing that beautiful axe throw attack, which, as I said, I just love. Then we can see him bashing an enemy's head with a shield and then facing a far more dangerous enemy, which is a Slayer. On this specific enemy, besides the fact that it is way more powerful, we can see these two lines above his head. The first one, which is yellow, is his life bar, and the white one is his armor. Obviously we need to deplete the white one in order to deal some actual damage, although I have noticed that some attacks deplete both of them, and the stomp is a finishing move. Once all enemies are down, we can see Eivor dealing with Vlad, who well has a wolf pet. In this screenshot, notice that the pet charges Eivor and in order to escape he needs to mash a button. Although a boss, Vlad seems quite accessible once you deal with a hunting wolf. However, during the fight we can learn that Assassin's Creed Valhalla bosses use skills, and this specific one can set his sword on fire, and it is not a small one. Regardless though, Vlad is defeated quite fast and a new cutscene, which is interrupted by the player, unfortunately starts. But at the end of the cutscene we can see one key element. We get to pick what happens to our enemy. We can spare his life or we can put an end to it. Obviously this is a key choice, and it is the one that ends the assault on Burgh Castle. Now that the assault is complete, we can see our player talking to Oswald, who according to the leaked footage is the rightful king of East Anglia and he's getting married. Obviously Eivor is invited, but this is part of the next quest, as we can see here, a quest named Wedding Horns. So in this screenshot we can spot a small part of the in-game map. We can see that we are in East Anglia, we can see Yare River in the English county of Norfolk, and we can see an icon showing 3 gold bars. These gold bars are connected to the wealth bar in the lower right corner of the screen. Basically these are treasures we need to find in order to fully dominate an area along with the collectibles. There are 15 in East Anglia and one of them is in Burgh Castle. Next, in the upper left corner we can see a small part of our settlement, which I believe to be close to today's Norwich. We can see the icon of a sync point, the docks, an icon depicting a manuscript which is most likely allows us to start new quests, a sack depicting a trader maybe, and a vase which seems to mark the location of another trader. The good stuff though comes in the next screenshot, where we can spot all Assassin's Creed Valhalla skill trees, and as we can see we have 3 of them. But first we can learn about the node types. So in Assassin's Creed Valhalla we have 3 skill trees and 2 types of nodes. The bigger icons shows the main skills, which unlock the fighting moves, while the smaller ones show the stat nodes, which improve the base fighting stats. We will discuss them in a second. Before doing that though, let's check the skill trees. First, we have the wolf skill tree, which shows Eivor's wolf power. Notice that it is a blue skill tree on the right side, and that the points we spend in this skill tree affect the bonuses of the wolf aligned gear. Then we have the bear power and the red skill tree in the middle, which includes the bonuses of the bear aligned gear, followed by the yellow raven power skill tree and on the left side, which includes the bonuses of the raven aligned gear. The total number of points spent in all skill trees determines Eivor's power level. Now, as we can see, these skill trees are linked to our character's gear, which is pretty important because along with these skill trees, we also have 3 types of gear: wolf aligned gear, bear aligned gear, and raven aligned gear. I believe that we should see these skill trees as classes, with the wolf tree indicating a more damage focused build, the bear a more resilient build, and the raven a more stealth focused build. The gameplay footage also shows our player spending skill points in these trees, specifically the wolf tree, increasing his melee attack, ranged attack, maximum health, range resistance, and stealth attack. Hunter bow combo skill is also revealed, which seems very interesting because it improves the drawing speed based on the moment you release your previous arrow. Finally, we can see that at some point these skill trees connect to each other. Now, moving to the inventory, we can see that the gear the player is using has different colors, yellow and red. The yellow gear is affected by the bonuses from the raven skill tree, and the red gear by the bonuses from the bear skill tree. Each piece of gear can be upgraded 10 times to improve its stats, and upgrades require materials displayed on the right side of the screen. Notice the stats on this specific X, which change to these once upgraded. If we move to the armor, we can see that it has different stats, which again can be improved upgrading it multiple times. Finally, we can observe that all equipment pieces can be removed, resulting in a naked Eivor, which is quite hot despite the fact that she's not really pretty. Last but not least, on the left side of the screen is worth seeing the quiver, which obviously can be upgraded to hold more arrows, and the ratio pouch. We can also upgrade to carry more food and use it to heal our mighty Viking. The Assassin's Creed Valhalla leaked gameplay trailer ends with our player releasing several hostages from their cages and collecting the wealth chest. However, what is really nice is that this chest is actually hidden and not in plain sight, and it requires solving a small puzzle by moving several boxes. Once opened, the chest reveals a carbon ingot and the location is now marked as complete. Okay, so what do you think? I know there is a lot of info in this leaked Assassin's Creed Valhalla gameplay footage. Before you share your thoughts though, and honestly I can't wait to read them, keep in mind that this gameplay footage is from a work in progress. It was recorded at a low resolution and we do not know when it was captured, and we know that it was captured on a current gen console judging by the loading screens. Other than that, let me know your opinions because I cannot wait to hear them, and don't forget to subscribe because I have a lot more videos for you. Until next time, stay safe.